Good evening, sir. Thanks very much for coming through. Well, one would imagine that, too little, too late, some people say, especially those who have campaigned vigorously for this piece of legislation. But from what you know, what aspects of this legislation can still be implemented ahead of the May general election?
Good evening, Vuya, and good evening to the viewers. I think there are two issues to be said up front. There is great expectation on this bill, or this law now, but it was never going to be possible to implement it before the 1st of April. It was an understanding up front through the parliamentary process and the National Treasury process that the fund will be capitalized from the 1st of April. Practically what that means is that effectively we begin to have records of political parties at that point. Very clearly at that point an election would not have been conducted, but a lot of work would have been undertaken in respect of the upcoming elections. And so any funding going to political parties from the 1st of April, remember the law cannot be applied retrospectively, we will account for those funds.
And you will get those funds from Treasury. That is the understanding.
Yes, that is the understanding.
Now, with regards to the disclosures that political parties will have to make, you will obviously have to rely on them to provide you with whatever information.
Yes, we will rely on them, but the law has a check and a balance. In this situation, every one of those donations that must be accounted for through our process will have to be accounted for by the donating party. In other words, if a company wants to donate, they will have to make that donation, declare that donation with the Electoral Commission, and the political party concerned will have to. Perhaps we need to go back a step. There is so much that now needs to happen because of this law. Amongst others, we will have to go and consult on regulations that will facilitate the disclosures and the overall management of this process. We will have to make sure that we consult with political parties, with civil society organizations, with companies, as it were, or those persons that may wish to make donations, because they will have to comply with the law. A failure on their part to comply with the law is a criminal offense. And so there is a lot of work we need to do between now and the 1st of April. And that has always been an understanding that prior to the implementation, the path must be cleared and an understanding must be established so that the process of accounting is above board.
Other than that, preparations for the elections, starting with, of course, the voter registration drive this weekend. How are we doing?
We're doing well. We are doing well as a nation. But we can never completely say everything it's fine, we can rest on our laurels. We have to make a call. You have to make a call, we have to make a call. Every one of us, we are required to make that call to persons who may be out there, who still may have to register or provide, corrected address details or, new registration details of where they currently are. And we are making the call that every one of us, can we take that message to everybody and then expect them to come on Saturday and Sunday? I think that's the one thing. The second thing that must be said is that this is our final registration weekend. It is our final registration weekend because beyond Sunday, we will not have another opportunity to open all voting stations across the land for persons to come and register with us.
But it doesn't mean that a person can still not register.
That was the point I was going to. It does not mean that you may not be able to register with us. If you obviously miss this weekend's opportunity, you will have, regrettably, you will have to visit our offices, which remain open between Mondays and Fridays during office hours, where you can then register as a voter. It is much easier, of course, when we have created this opportunity for voters to just, down the road, get there, register, and go home.
From a station. Now, and that window exists until?
That window exists until the president officially proclaims the election date. On the date that the president will proclaim the election date, the voters' roll, as we have by the close of that day, is the voters' roll that must be used for an election. And so we cannot take further registrations.
After that. That's where we're going to leave it. Thanks very much for your time this evening. IEC Commissioner Mosotho Moepya.